DIY semi. If you're having truck problems, I feel bad for you, son. I got 99 problems, but a truck ain't one. Yeah. Let's go. I got 99 problems, but a truck ain't one.
What do you think? Does that make me cool?
Oh man, who are you opening for, man?
I wrote that. I didn't sing it and perform it and create it. I wrote that.
You know, Beyonce just dropped her dropped her album, right?
Yeah, she should pick it back up again. Put it back in her pocket. Is it the country one?
We got to talk about it. I don't agree.
She tried. I haven't heard it. I'm just judging because
heard half of it. She does Blackbird too.
All right.
By the Beatles.
All right. How's everybody doing today? Thanks for coming in. We're live. You all know this guy here, Paul, from FreightConnect.com. And it's time to have Paul on. It's been a while. And want to hear what Paul went to the truck show with us. Paul was there and we spent some time together. And I want to hear, he had some different experiences than I had. Paul sat in on some, what do you call them, seminars or talks or pro talks or whatever. And talk about that a little bit and what he took away from the show. And we'll talk about what he's been working on while he's been away and all the other new things going on. So, Paul, thanks for doing this again.
Yes, sir. How are you, Adam?
We're okay. We're getting back in the swing of things here from being home from the truck show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Got a lot of different thoughts about things. Nothing really new ideas, but just, you need a kick in the pants every now and then to kind of get going on some things. And
sure.
A little kick in the pants, and I'm sure it is for a lot of people. So tell us, I did the video about my experience and thoughts about the truck show and Matt's. Tell me about your experience down there.
All right, sure. Well, man,
other than the grape vodka and Coca-Cola, we'll skip over that part.
Which one?
The grape vodka and Coca-Cola.
You're going to throw it out there, and then we're just going to.
We'll pretend it never happened.
Pretend like it never happened. Honestly, I'll tell you, I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. Don't remember, huh?
I wasn't a part of that, but I do know. I don't know. You came up with a great combination of Coke and grape. I think it was. Is that what it was?
It was.
And man, that was the best Kool-Aid I ever had.
I just made that up on the spot. They didn't have slow gin, so I saw that grape vodka, and I'm like, let's try that.
Yeah, it's kind of like a spot market. You just kind of pick whatever's out there, right?
That's right.
And no, man, that was a great time at Matt's. We did spend that time together. We had a little group that night. And how is my friend in New Jersey? How's he doing? Have you talked to him?
He's in here today. I've already thrown some daggers his way as I'm going to get you next year. It's we're going to turn the tables on him.
Let's make that we're going to get him next year.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Well, no, it was a great time, man. We we hung out in a whole different setting, and that night, I guess it was Friday night. We had an opportunity to even talk a little business and do a little coaching and stuff like that over some grape, and it turned out real good. I think I'd love to hear at some point what Victor has to say after he took care of us. And see what he has to say about things, because I really enjoyed visiting with him. I really did.
It was a good time.
I think we had a good time. Yeah, absolutely. So I guess that's as much as I can say. We weren't in Vegas, but what happens in Louisville stays in Louisville.
Yeah, to an extent.
All right. Well, what do we want to talk about?
Well, tell us about your experience at the truck show and what you took from it.
Okay.
Individual things and then as a whole.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the truck show, man, I think is definitely a great place to be. You and I went last year, which was the first time for both of us. For me, in terms of any type of trucking convention, I mean, I've been in the business for a while, but that was the first time that I had ever gotten to experience something like that on that level as far as trucking goes. And it was good last year. It was I think a totally different situation than this year, but there were tons of people out there, whether the numbers were smaller or whatever it might have been. it's still a crowded place, you know.
They said like 53,000 people they estimated this year.
53. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Because I think they were saying prior to they were thinking 55. I think so. I guess they hit that number. Lots of booths, you know, lots of things to see, to buy. Last year for me, you know, with it being the first time, it was all about just experiencing and figuring this all out, you know, understanding what it's all about. And it was good. This year, it was more, I was more intentional. So I wanted to go to the shows or seminars, the speaking engagements, and I packed my days with that from Thursday all the way to Saturday. Saturday was light. I think I had one that I went to and just skipped on the other ones just to kind of relax a little bit. But so for me, I listened in on a lot of people who were talking about whether it's the economy, just the state of the economy, how to thrive in a market like this. A lot of it I thought was going to deal with direct shippers, the way the material read, but it was more about brokers, which was fine because there's all you need to deal with brokers. And I think it's a good thing to deal with brokers, but you need to know how to deal with brokers. And at the same time, yes, there are bad brokers out there, but not everyone's bad, right? So you're talking about you being an owner of a business. So, you have to learn how to deal with all kinds of people at different levels. And then there was a lot about building relationships, I heard. I can go into any of those topics, but
Let me
yeah,
interject right there.
Yeah.
We're going to take credit for this. I don't care what anybody says. You and I are going to take credit for that one.
Okay.
We were early to the game with that one, and now everybody's piling on and copying us. I'm telling you, I'm going to take credit for that. You and I, what do you think? The topic of building relationships. Like last year, it wasn't that. The years before that, times before that, it's a popular thing to talk about now.
Yeah.
And I got to say that you brought that on. We brought that on.
Yeah. I mean, last year felt like it was about, in terms of just experiencing things, because I walked around to see what was out there. So I hit a lot of booths. I don't know about this year because I didn't walk around in that way. But I did see a lot of people last year who have YouTube channels or have some type of sponsorship with people and were out and about and really happy and what have you. I don't know their background. I don't know if they were out there this year, but being on YouTube, my personal experience is a lot of people in trucking that, got on and had shows and, did whatever they did. But when the good times kind of go away, right, that probably goes away too,
You're right.
Okay. So, yeah, so I kind of saw that. So as far as what you and I have always been talking about, it's kind of like this, and you're 100. Let's take the credit, man, because we have talked about this one topic, and I remember, I think it was like February 2022. I put out a newsletter talking about, hey, invest in yourself, and it was all about, man, the way we see business today, it is not going to last. And that was the tail end of the COVID rush, so to speak.
Yes.
Let's coin that COVID rush. It was that COVID rush, and then it ended, and we knew it was coming up, and we even called it. It was around that February, March time period, and I think that's when the Ukraine thing came about and high fuel prices happened. But we were talking about you need to, during the COVID rush, build relationships.
Yeah.
Because that time, that the way things were at that time, were not going to last. That's just simple.
The opportunity wasn't the high spot market rates. It was the opportunity to talk to people who would never otherwise talk to you.
Think about it. There were a lot of people that did come into the business that didn't know what was going on at that time, and I get it. But for us veterans, right, it was a time to take advantage of that time period to communicate with people, to talk to shippers, probably even brokers, but build relationships. It's like those people who are doing very well now, meaning, that do well all the time, whether it's your Warren Buffs of the world, your big wigs like that, they don't go out and just spend when the good times are around. You know what I mean? They don't go around looking to have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
They're working, right?
Yeah.
They're putting their money in the right places, and they might even be holding on to it during that time period, but they're looking at businesses, right? They're looking at different scenarios, looking at not for today to purchase, but when times are more challenging, because then people are willing to sell, right? People won't have money at that time to invest. They will take advantage when the market is low, right? It's almost like they're like, all right, everything has all of a sudden become a garage sale. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when they're spending money when everyone else doesn't have the money to spend. And they're able to pick up the pieces that are going to be that are going to pay off, right? And so that is that's what we did. The way we were looking at it, right? We were like, this time period during COVID, this is the time to look for those pieces, right, that are going to pay off. Build those relationships. Talk to the people that you don't normally get a chance to talk to. Don't take advantage of them.
Right.
And so, in a long-winded way, let's take advantage. I mean, let's take credit for that. Absolutely.
Right. And I saw something somebody wrote for the truck show.
Yeah.
That going back a little ways, they damn near plagiarized the whole article that you wrote. I mean, it was almost word for word.
Oh, really?
You sent it to me.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So there was an article that I wrote. I didn't put it out there. I put it out there in all honesty and transparency. I put it out there as a paid product, but I never promoted it. But it was something that was really, just really, really thinking about. And it was about the road. I think I titled it like the roadmap to success, navigating the way in trucking, or something of that nature. And it was pretty involved, right? The points being mindset, and that was the very first thing in that article, in that piece. And it was like, all the rest doesn't matter until you get that in place, right?
Yeah.
And
so
then
you actually experienced a little bit of that in one of the seminars that you were at. Can you tell us about that? How the whole mindset thing really kind of caused an issue, didn't it?
Yeah, I don't think I had heard of the guy before. He was
Kevin Rutherford.
Kevin Rutherford.
He's a big name in the industry, so everybody will know who you're talking about.
Okay, all right. Kevin Rutherford, and he had a seminar, or a speaking engagement, and it was with the guy from Truck Stop, and that guy was pretty calm. And then Kevin Rutherford, he started talking, and I'm listening to him, and the first thing he talked about while I was there, he started, going down his list of, I guess, ways to be successful, and it was mindset, and I was like, oh, that's cool. That's what I was writing about. He said, and let me listen to this. So I listened, and he was saying everything that I had written, right? That I wrote. And he said that the mindset, you have to have the right mindset in order to be successful. You can't think that, everyone's trying to get over on you, and you have to understand what this industry is all about, and, and a lot of other stuff. And I'm just listening, and then I'm like, that's amazing. Okay. Then he went on, and then he started talking about some other things, and all these things that he was talking about, I was like, that's what I wrote in the article. And I even pulled it up on my phone, and I'm like, I wrote that. And then he started talking some more, and I was like, I wrote that too. And so everything that he was saying was everything that I had written in this article. And after him speaking, I went out and I tried to talk to him, and I had mentioned that to him. But at any rate, while I was there, he took questions. and a young lady, I don't remember what company she was from, but anyway, she raised her hand and she had a question for him. And the question was, so, what do you think about broker transparency?
Oof.
And yeah, oh, yeah, yeah. I didn't realize how.
That's a hot button topic. That is divisive.
I didn't realize how sensitive that
Hmm.
is. That a really
Oh, it's an emotional topic. I'll tell you what.
emotional.
Well, there's a
That's a
lot of
great.
people. There's a
Yeah,
lot of people struggling right now, and
yeah.
a
Yeah.
lot of people are. It's the way it's business. Sometimes you struggle, but some people can't think. You mentioned it just a second ago about people think there's always somebody trying to get over on you.
Hmm.
In
Yeah.
business, it's kind of how business work. You're always trying to be better than your competition, outsell them, outperform them, out everything them, right? And some
Hmm.
people will call that getting it over on you, but
Right.
that's kind of what it is. So,
Mhm.
you know, they feel like people are getting over on them right now,
Yeah.
and they're having a tough time. So that brings out a lot of emotion
Hmm.
with that topic.
Well, I tell you what, one of the things that Kevin did mention in the very beginning, I heard this a couple times talking. I don't know if this is a thing for 2024 to say, but business has no emotions, and
Wait a minute, are you saying that trucking don't care about your feelings? Because I
brother,
put that on a T-shirt and a coffee mug like way back. So am I getting ripped off here too?
I'm gonna have to buy one of those, man, one of those T-shirts. Absolutely, brother. That's yours, and they're just catching up to it,
There you
and
go.
it's unfortunate that. From what I'm hearing from you is that, um, you know, I think about during the time of COVID, right, and carriers were making bank, right, um, and so when while they were making all this money, was there a question about broker transparency? And that's a
No,
question
no,
that
but here's the thing, and this is nothing new. I've said it before. People don't like it, but a lot of people that were getting over back then and making a lot of money thought that it was because they were smart and they were better than everybody else. It's not. You were benefiting from circumstance, and guess
yeah,
what?
yeah,
So was I.
right,
So was I. I'm not gonna,
right,
I wasn't doing anything special,
right.
and anybody else couldn't do.
It's part of
But
business.
it wasn't because we were special. It was benefiting from circumstance. And now that the truth comes to light with that, when it's back to business as usual or things are tough, it's
Mm-hmm.
hard to accept that when you thought you were special, but you
Mm-hmm.
weren't special.
Mm-hmm.
Circumstance was in your favor. So
Right.
anyway, let's go back to what happened during this. So he walked off stage, right? She was just
Well,
giving
I
him.
didn't get there, but I will get there. So
Oh,
they're
okay.
talking.
Sorry.
No, it's just okay, man. So they're there having this dialogue back and forward, and well, when she asked the question, and then Rutherford uh, responded, and she wouldn't let it go. She didn't like his answer. I mean, she was ready, and she stood up and she spoke her mind. And these brokers and blah 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 blah. And then he tried to calm her down and said, bottom line that you're making money, and if you're fine with it, then it shouldn't matter what they're making. This is business, right? And this is how business works. And he said, there's no other industry where you get to see what the other makes. And I don't know how true that is, but regardless, that that was his argument, and it makes sense. And you don't show your books to everyone, right? You don't open it up and say, "Hey, here it is." So in terms of that type of transparency, there's nothing wrong with withholding your pricing, or what that is. If you don't care to work with someone, if you don't like their practices or whatever the case is, you can work with someone else. And at the same time, if you're talking about collectively, you don't, in this scenario, you don't care to work with the broker, you can bypass the broker. No one says you have to work with the broker, right? So and if you don't care to work with someone, you just don't.
Hmm.
There's alternatives. So at any rate, it went back and forth, and he said at some point, that, you know what, I'm going to have to bow out. He said, right now, this is not something I can talk about. I don't have the capacity to. He said this on stage. I am not going to basically go back and forward with you. And he kept stepping back, and he told the guy with truck stop, he said, you are going to have to take this over. And he turned his back and he walked off the stage, and I looked for him and I couldn't see him. And then I realized he had walked out of the room. And so he's out there talking to other people and talking about the situation and other stuff. But, the other guy calmed her down and said whatever he said, but she was still, pretty hyped. And in the end, I think she felt victorious, and challenging him, but she never gave in the sense that she didn't absorb, what was being said. She was.
I can relate to that. And there's two different things here. Number one, I'm going to stand up for Kevin because Kevin's a smart guy. It's not that he can't have that conversation. He's probably tired of it. He's probably a little emotionally beat down over defending that position every freaking day on the radio. He's got a radio show.
Okay.
And just in general of trying to reason with people that won't be reasoned with. And that lady, I'm guessing, as hard as she was trying to stand there and beat him up, she probably tries to stand there and beat up a broker that bad on every single load.
Sure. Right.
Probably not having the thought of, okay, before I get mad at this person, what have I done for myself, by myself, to try to improve my business and maybe go get my own customers, and not even considering that there's another way. Yeah. But if she did, she'd probably try to beat up that customer like that too, because she's and I don't know her from anybody, but she's possibly a little bit emotionally damaged over this whole thing.
Sure, absolutely.
That's one thing I've had to learn as. I have a different perspective on the Surge thing now after going to court. I was emotional, but you know what? After some time to think about it, it's just business. It's just business.
Yeah.
People sue each other every day and they can still communicate. People have arguments and can still communicate. You can't hold on to your emotions. It's business.
Right.
Because you can go through something bad with somebody and rebuild that relationship. I mean, I did it this year.
Yeah.
At Mets. There's one good thing I got out of going there is I rebuilt a relationship I thought was a little bit damaged. So, but she won't get there. She won't build her business until she can put that aside, because she doesn't have a clear picture of what's in front of her. She's just mad.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. She had an agenda. Right.
Yeah. And Kevin is more than capable of handling that. But like, the guy is dealing with it every stinking day. I don't blame him. He's he probably bowed out because he didn't want to snap.
He did. Right. No, he did that truly. I mean, he was talking mindset, that's the thing that caught me was, and then to see his response to her, I was like, whoa, I didn't expect that from him because of the topic at hand. And then when she was going at it, the room became divided. Right. It was like you said, an emotional topic. And it got to me too, because I was like, okay, ma'am, try to listen, and hear what he's saying. And she's probably tried to listen before, but she's probably had some pretty bad experiences. You know what I mean? And I totally get that. I mean, I've been in situations in other professions where, my customer was pretty upset, and man, I just had to isolate him and really dig in order for them just to listen. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't a situation where I was able to do something like that, but I got tired of hearing her go on and on about it. But at the end, I did go over and give her a card. I haven't received a call that I know of from her, but
somebody knows who she is. Send her this video. But I've met Kevin. I've been to CMC way back in 2006 before it was even popular, and he was on the radio, and we spent some time together. And he's a smart guy. He's a patient guy. He's a smart guy.
Yeah.
She blew a golden opportunity to learn something from, somebody who's big in this industry. She may even afterwards could have sat down and had a conversation with him and talked about other things. But guess what? That's not going to happen now. She could have been introduced to a guy like you. her emotions got the best of her, and she blew it.
Yeah. The funny thing is, like, with what you just mentioned, when I left and went outside, Kevin was out there talking to a group of people, and I was listening, and then I was able to chime in. We had a little dialogue, but I was wanting to connect with him, but he told me basically, "Hey, brother, I'm just too busy to talk to anyone. I don't have time to just do that."
And I'm sure that's true.
Yeah, no,
He's an indie man guy.
So I respected that, and but then the lady came out, right, and I could hear her in the background. She was laughing, and some guy came up and hugged her and said, "Hey, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you," and blah blah blah. And I was like, I'm like, okay, well, I guess I get what that's all about. And then that same guy goes over to Kevin, and then Kevin, he was explaining himself, and the guy was like, "Oh, no, you had to do what you had to do," and blah 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 blah. So this guy was playing both sides of it, but the point that I'm making with all that is, to your point, is that there is an opportunity that exists in all that. We don't all have to agree. I can learn from someone that I don't agree with. I can even walk away and still not agree, right? But that doesn't mean I dismiss you.
Right.
There are times where you have to dismiss someone. You know what I'm saying? But in terms of, again, mindset, right? And then we're talking about business, right? You cannot go around, with your
bullying
emotions
people.
on your
Bullying.
sleeve.
You're trying to bully somebody.
You can't go around doing. Yeah, you can't go around trying to bully people. If you are the representative of your business, which what I mean by that is, let's say your business is an individual, a person, right? And you're representing that business. Depending upon the business, I guess, I don't know, but let's say it's a business. Would the business appreciate how you are representing them, right? If the business has goals, if your business has this agenda, if your business is trying to accomplish certain things, are you representing them in a way to achieve those goals?
Another way to say it would be, if it was your company and you hired somebody to go out and represent you, and they were representing you that way, would you fire them?
Absolutely.
Would you be proud of that? Would you be mad?
Absolutely. If you hired me to do something for you, whether it's make calls or whatever the case is, right? And you saw how I went about it, whatever that way is, you're going to make a decision, right? You're going to decide, you know what, this guy, okay, good. Yeah, I like the way he presents himself, and I like the representation. Or, wait a minute, this is hurting our name, right? We're going to have to part ways, right? Yeah. So again, I always say this too, as an owner of anything, you have a boss, right? You always have a boss, right? And it can be because, if it's those customers, they're your boss, because if they don't buy your product, you don't have a business, right?
Mm-hmm.
But again, as far as your business goes, right? If you don't represent that business well, you're not going to have those customers, and that business is not going to be successful. And that business has to decide if it's going to keep you on or not. And unfortunately, the business, unless there's a board or something like that, right? They can't make those decisions. But you, as the owner, you've got to understand that it's vital that your mindset and how you go about handling the business.
Yeah, so I don't think I ever introduced you properly here. There's new people all the time here. Paul here is from freightconnect.com, FR8connect.com. He helps small carriers like us connect directly with direct shippers. I hear all the time it can't be done. Well, we don't listen to that. We just do it. And we're going to keep on doing it.
Yeah.
It's good for us. So you can connect with them through the website if you need to, or phone number 866-342-0040, extension 109. He's also a big part of the show here in providing all this knowledge and education to people like us for nothing. So if you ever need help with that, give him a call. But so let's go on to the next thing. What your overall What's like the overall thing you had taken from the show? Mine was that, hey, trucking is kind of moving on with or without us, with
Mm,
technologies and all these different things. We can get with it and be efficient, or we can get gone. It's pretty much how it's going to go because they don't really care about what we think. I kind of took a lot of that. What did you have any kind of general thoughts on it?
yeah. When you say they, who's they? What do you mean?
Just kind of everybody, the all the way from the regulatory agencies to the people you do business with, factoring,
Oh,
uh,
oh,
ELDs, your transportation, logistics,
okay,
autonomy, everything, just
okay,
insurance,
yeah.
everything.
So then, so what I'm hearing is that like there's they, and then us would be carriers or small
Yeah,
carriers. How does
every
that?
when I
Okay.
say they, I mean everybody but the carriers, basically.
But the carriers. Okay, I get it. Got it. Okay. Yeah, I tend to co-sign with that, and that,
They're getting very efficient, and
yeah.
and
Hmm.
a lot of us aren't. The people that don't start to focus on efficiency, I think, are going to be gone.
Here's what I look at the way I see it, man. Hmm. If I am I mean, let's say I'm they, whatever that means, okay, or I'm us, right? I'm
Yeah.
us, and then there's them. Um, how am I? Pun not intended. How am I driving the industry? You know what I mean? I mean, how are we moving the industry along? How
The,
are we
the
helping?
carrier
And then
side or the other side?
us,
The carrier
I'm
side.
carrier side, yes. How are we, uh, yeah, advancing the industry?
Well, I think we operate within the industry, so I don't think we necessarily 100%. We don't drive it by ourselves, but there's companies and people who choose to operate well within that industry of progress, you know, technology. And trust me, I'm not in favor of all technologies. I think a lot of them are misused or mishandled or whatever. But
Mhm.
um, operate efficiently within that system.
Yeah.
Be a part of the program and the communication and operation rather than constantly trying to be opposed to it. Now, some
Hmm.
things you do need to be opposed to. You got to stand up to, but
Hmm.
the more you try to learn and operate with people
Hmm.
rather than say, I'm in charge, I run the show, I do this thing. Well, we're going to be proven wrong on that because the other side has way more money than we do. And guess what? It's their freight. They're going to control it how they want to.
Yeah.
They're going to dictate how things will get done.
Right.
So you can be a part of that, or
Hmm.
you can stick to your guns of 20, 30 years ago, how we used to do things. It's everybody's choice,
Yeah.
but we're going to have to deal with how that all works out for each one of us.
What about going back before 30 years ago? And what I mean by that is before we had any vehicles, motorized, vehicles to move product. I mean, stuff was moving back then. Things were moving thousands of years ago. Commerce has always been around, right,
Right.
in some form or another. And all of a sudden, and so trucking is not is it's new. It's relatively new. You know what I mean?
But what we're
Uh,
doing now is going to be old in 20 years. There will be another new.
there will be, but the point I'm making is that so here is trucking, and we trucking came about because there was a way. It became a more efficient, effective way to move things,
Hmm.
right? And so here it is, and then we jump on board and we figure it out in terms of here's the role that I can play. I can drive the truck and move stuff around and what have you. So it's not that trucking was around and then people came in and invaded it, and made it something. Is that trucking came around um, to accommodate something that was already in existence, right? And so it's still in existence, and it's going to continue to evolve You see what I'm saying? It
Well,
evolved
if you want
from
an example, you want an example of what I'm talking about?
of what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
sure.
so right here, CDN Freight Broker did a show talking about the evolution of 3PLs,
Okay,
4PLs,
yeah,
okay,
yeah, yeah,
all of
sure,
this type
sure,
scenario and how they're
sure.
working with big customers to solve their problems. So
Hmm.
a lot of freight is moving to that,
Yeah, sure.
right?
Okay,
You can develop
okay,
a relationship with a 3PL
yeah,
the same as you could develop it with General Mills. Just the
right,
3PL is your customer. They're now the
right,
shipper, right?
right,
You can
right.
work
Well,
within their whole big system the same you could have worked within it with General Mills.
yeah.
Okay. Things are moving to that. A
Hmm.
lot of brokers are moving off the load board. CH Robinson is largely off the load board. Arrive Logistics is completely off the load boards.
Okay.
Uh, but yet there will still be always people that cling to that load board as the only way I can do business. And that lady at the show was going to be one of them, right?
Yeah.
That's
Right.
position she was digging in on that position
Right.
where she
Right.
had a choice. She could go out and realize freight is evolving into this other thing. And that's what I
Uh-huh.
need to do and be a part of. But instead, you dig in on this one thing. And because I built my business to be operate specifically within the spot market, and that's all I'm willing to do.
Right.
But then when it's not working out,
Right.
I have to, dig in harder instead of realizing I need to change and I need to change my operation. Right. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. Like
Yes.
this is happening, whether we like
Yes.
it or not or want it or not.
Yes.
This
Right.
this 3PL, 4PL, 5PL thing.
Right.
That
Right.
freight is going to come off the load board. So the people
Right.
that are completely set up to operate on the load board,
Right.
you're going to struggle.
Right.
It's going to get
Right.
hard for you.
Right.
So be ahead of it.
Right.
Move
Right.
move with it. Go with
100%.
it. Realize this is happening, acknowledge it,
100%.
and go build something over it there.
Exactly.
So
No.
that's kind of what I'm talking about.
Good. Okay. So with that said, then and I guess we're on the same page because what I'm saying is that okay, transportation or transporting things has been around for thousands of years, or however long it's been, and it's always going to evolve, right? So now that we're here and we're trying to keep it the same, you see what I mean? Us against them. I'm not. Because there's so many different ways you can go about that, but I'm saying that are we staying complacent or staying comfortable in our world and saying, hey, things need to be this way so I can operate the way I know how to operate? Or are we looking at it and saying, you know what, at some point there was no trucks, now there are trucks, and this thing will continue to evolve, and it will evolve while I am in the industry, because the only constant they say is what? Change, right? And we're talking about, even with the economy, we need to get inflation down, but even in getting inflation down, the prices continue to go up. They want that 2% increase every year, right? So that means that prices are going up, and they want production to, it's expected to increase, and in order to do that, a company has to make decisions and moves and what have you in order to push more product out there and try to be different than they were the year before in order to get more product out there. Oreo wants to sell more cookies, so they got to come up with more flavors, right? And guess what? You might have less shelf space, vanilla cookies, right, to make room for all these other cookies that are coming aboard. Now vanilla is going to complain about it, but that's just how it is. You know what
Well,
I mean?
there's the divide.
There,
That's
there
where the divide is.
there is that, but things change, and you have to keep your eyes wide open. You have to look at it not from a standpoint of being a victim. You have to look at, imagine if you heard about something that's coming up and you took advantage of that and you were able to experience this windfall because of that. Are you going to complain? Probably not. But if you sit there and you do nothing about it and it happens, you might say, dang, I should have taken advantage of that situation. But then there's other people that won't move at all.
And just
And
say, well, I didn't because they were screwing me.
yeah. And I don't know what to tell you. You know what I'm saying? At that point, everything's going to pass you by. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, it's a matter of don't fight it. I mean, get it kind of. I mean, get in there and kind of see what it's all about. Figure it out, because a lot of things that are new, they don't work out in the beginning. There's a lot of trial and error that happens, and if it's a thing where people are throwing a whole lot of money at it, they're probably going to continue to throw money at it until it works. You know what I'm saying? But you just have to be smart. You have to be that business owner, and don't keep your hands behind your back, and not do anything about it. Get in there, figure things out, be smart about it, and look at it from different perspectives. Talk to people, not just people that are always on the negative side about things. Explore it, see where you might be able to fit in, because you might just figure out something that is going to be needed, or you just might find your niche in regards to this advancement, and do really well.
Right.
So
right.
I don't know.
Well, I like that. So it's been a while since we had you on. Tell us what you've been working on. What's new with Freight Connect? Anything new you've been working on? New information? Anything you want to tell us about?
I don't know, man. I guess yeah, I've been busy. I've been very, very, very busy. Kind of playing low key. So a direct shipper still is a big thing, and a lot of people out there can do that. I believe.
Can I ask you a question quick?
Yeah.
So
Anything.
I told you about the show I did with the gentleman from eCarrier Check, because I don't
Yeah.
want you to think I was cheating on you. But I'm all about right now. If anybody has information that can help, we got to get it out there.
Mhm.
Did you watched a little bit of that? What did you think? You think we're on the right track? It's good stuff.
No, I think it was good stuff. When I was watching it, I was like, okay, cool. And then as he made other calls, and I was like, all right. I was like, man, I was like, this can be, if my students were to, that is what I would want my students to be able to do, right? Is to be able to do exactly what he's doing, which I totally believe just about anyone can do. I mean, I know a lot of people that say, I couldn't do this, can't do that, and what have you. No, you can't. And I can
try.
I can get you there. You know what I mean? I was even listening to your response, right, to things, and I remember when we first met, right? And I'm like, look at Adam, look at what he's talking about. Look, when you were talking to these guys, I was like, man, Adam is pulling out some really good points, in terms of when you guys were reviewing the calls, and things that you were saying. And I was like, I remember Adam in the beginning, and what he's talking about right now, he's right on the money, and I believe that anyone can get to that point where they recognize those opportunities, right? They recognize, how to, and it doesn't have to be on the phone, right? Because in person, working with someone in person or dealing with someone in person, there is such great benefit to that, to shaking someone's hands, to looking at them in the eye, and to have a conversation with them. The key thing that you have to realize is that every person is just a person, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not like this is an individual from some other world, and I'm less than that person. No, especially if you own the company, if you're the owner or owner operator, whatever you want to call yourself, you can sit at the table with Elon Musk or any of those guys. You know what I mean? Because you own this company, and you have to make those decisions for this business, right? So that's how you have to look at it. Not that you are superior over everyone. You have that responsibility. This is a business. But in regards to the calls that they made, I think they were right on the money, with it. Looked like they were having a good time. And so, yeah, it was good. It was good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what are you working on? I know I only have you for a few more minutes. You got another meeting.
Yeah.
What are you working on right now?
Okay. Well, however long you want to go. I mean, I've got 30 minutes, but it's up to you. As far as that goes, I'm working to, which is something I've been working on for a long time to get to this point. I'm developing a system where we'll provide the CRM. We can provide the leads. We'll provide all the material, all the information, all the economic stuff, and all that. Where you sign up, you have everything that you need right there, right, to be able to go after direct shippers, or I guess even brokers as well, in regards to being able to build those relationships and manage that process. It should be really simple to do that, right? I mean, in general, I think it should be very simple to be able to walk through that process. So I'm actually developing where you sign up and online, you're going to have everything you need to be able to walk through, make that initial contact, and follow them all the way through to actually closing that business and retaining that business. So I'm going to give you everything that you need to be able to be self-sufficient or have someone within your organization to do that. And so I'm really excited about putting this together. So I've been spending a lot of time doing that, a lot of sleepless hours, working on this. And I just can't wait. I'm hoping that within the next couple of months, we'll be able to have it together. But right now, I'm looking for a lot of people, carriers, dispatchers, owner operators, or whatever, to actually be interested in this. The whole process for you to connect with someone and actually earn their business, it doesn't happen overnight, right? So therefore, since it takes time, you need something in place that will take you through that time period until it actually happens.
Yeah.
Because you can call someone, it sounds great, and think that it's going to happen tomorrow. Sometimes it's going to take 3 months.
Yeah.
Sometimes it'll take 6 months. Sometimes it'll take a year. But here's the thing. Depending upon what you want to do with your business, if you really want to transform things, right? Transform your business. If you really are trying to achieve something, it's a business. It takes time. Tesla, Amazon, any of those big companies. And it doesn't even have to be a big company. Smaller companies you never heard of before that are successful, they did not happen overnight. You listen to their story, hear their story. It took time. It took diligence. I mean, they had to put in the effort and the time, and eventually it became what it is today. So we want to be able to give you what you need that will help you process those opportunities to the point that you can be successful and achieve those goals. So I don't know if I explained that well, but that is what I've been working on, man. So
Okay. And like I was talking about in my Wex video or my Matt's videos, we have to do these things. We've come to the point where we have to. The fraud is making it necessary.
yeah.
You're gonna curtail fraud a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just the way the industry is going. It's the only way we're going to fix a lot of issues that we have.
Mm-hmm. What do you mean by that? You said the only way we're going to fix it is what again?
Because we can't rely on the government to do it. They've pretty much came out and said we're not going. This is what we're going to do, and they're barking up the wrong tree. So it leaves it to us and our industry partners, and they're certainly trying from their end. Some of them are misguided.
Mm-hmm.
We have to try from our end, and that is develop our own relationships. Right? I always said it before. Like I can't think of another industry where you as a business person does not want to have customers, your own customers.
Yeah.
Right? It's
Yeah.
kind of is illogical, right? So we have
Yeah.
to move towards it. We need to have a big movement towards that. And
Yeah.
trust me, you don't hear me sitting here saying that it's going to be easy. It's going to be hard. Mark my words, it's going to be hard for you, but you're going to have to do it. And I think that when shippers start to do more of that, they're going to reel us a benefit. And I know all the criticisms. You don't have to come at me with, Owens Corning doesn't want to deal with 1,000 different carriers. They want to send all their loads to one place and have them cover them. Maybe, but guess what? Not every shipper is Owens Corning. There's
Right,
places that ship one load a day,
yeah,
two loads a week.
yeah,
That's a lot of who we're looking for here. There's a place that fits you. Maybe if you have 200 trucks, then you go to an Owens Corning, right?
yeah,
You get in where you fit in. Now that Owens Corning might want to talk to you because you're right in their backyard or you have a truck there all the time. Don't make all these predetermined assumptions until you've talked to people and find out what the real deal is. You got to hear it from them. You shouldn't even hear it from me or Paul. You should hear it from them.
Yeah. There's man, when I reflect back on the video that you recently did where they were making the calls, they weren't calling Dole, you know what I mean? They weren't calling all these big major companies. They were calling companies that you probably have never heard of, right? He said, hey, we're just calling, it's right around the corner or down the street or whatever it is, these local companies. And there are tons of those, but it's about building those relationships. That's business. That's just what business is. It's about relationships and being able to eliminate feelings. But I'll put it to you this, I'll say this too. Feelings do exist. We are all human, right? We all get hurt, even in business. We do. Steve Jobs, I mean, when you read his book, when he got let go from his company, right? He went home, he became depressed. He cried about it, right? And it is emotional. You have those same dynamics going on, just like as if you have at home with your family. You know what I mean? You become attached, right? We call our business our babies, right? And we take care of them, better than anything, right? So I'm not trying to say that doesn't exist, but I am saying that in order to be successful, you're going to encounter some tough moments.
Yeah,
but it's a part of it. It's a part of the game, And
I've had my feelings hurt as recently as today. Somebody hurt my feeling, but then I gotta say, well, that's a me problem. That's not a they problem.
I hear that. I have a friend that tells me that.
I have to, keep that to myself and can try to continue to act professionally. Every once in a while, you're going to snap. You're going to have a moment of weakness where you're just going to let it all out. But for the most part, you got to realize what's a you problem. Because somebody said something that to them was the truth. If they weren't trying to be malicious and it hurts your feelings, that's a you problem because you took that. You maybe took it the wrong way, or you're not accustomed yourself to hearing even constructive criticism. So you have to say, did they mean that maliciously? Were they trying to hurt me, or were they just saying, hey, this is what we need to improve on, or hey, this is the new rate for this because of market conditions or whatever. So this involves a lot of you work. I've done a lot of that, and I hurt my own feelings sometimes. I'll be honest with you, but it's what we have to do.
Yeah. There reminds me of there's tons of different scenarios I've been in, but where people have come to me and I've just sitting at my desk, either gotten an email or somebody walked up to me and said, one guy said, you took my customer, you did this and that and blah, 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 blah. And I look up from a call that I was on and I said, I'm sorry, excuse me. Didn't even know the guy. And he was telling me all about what I had done. I stole a customer, tried to steal a customer of his. And I just listened, didn't say anything. And I was like, okay, tell you what, during break, would you like to go out in the hall? We can talk about it. And he said, yeah. And so when break came, we went out in the hall and I said, okay, let me hear what, please explain to me, what your concern is. And I just listened and he got it all out, and I was like, okay. And I said, well, I'm sorry, that you see things that way. Here is what happened. And I apologize, and I was not trying to blow. And in the end, he calmed down and he was like, he had nothing more to say. You know what I mean? It was done. I did not, respond in this aggressive way, understanding that he was already here. And me responding in that way was only going to make things worse, right? I'm I don't know. I totally eliminated feelings, I guess. I was just like, okay. I don't even know how to explain this, but all I know is that in the end, from that point onward, we shook hands and we went on about our business. He would almost every other day walk by my desk, say hi to me, shake my hand, say a little word, and then just kept moving almost every other day, right? So that encounter, based upon how I handled it, right, it came out positive. It resulted, in a positive. And I've had that situation happen many times. They don't always happen that way, but result in that way, but more times than not, right? So you start to develop a reputation. So think about that. In the end, what type of reputation? What's the word I just used? In the end, what type of reputation do you want to have, right? What do you want that reputation to be of your business, right? It doesn't matter. You're not even thinking about, I'm not representing that other person. I'm representing my business. Me and my little cubicle, that was my business, right? So when you come by my business, you're like, oh, okay, I know what that's all about. So I had another situation with the same company, and they tagged in the vice president of sales. And I pretty much handled it the same way, even, through the text. We had a conversation and sent a text back to the guy. The vice president texted me and said, Paul, I like the way you handled that. I was like, oh, okay. That's just how I handle business, right? When I finally hit my numbers, right, my boss said, the vice president wants to talk to you. Okay. I go in, he said, Paul, we've been waiting for you to hit your numbers because we want to promote you, And
Wow.
So I mean, that was good. But here's the thing. For me, I was just doing what I do. You see what I'm saying? It wasn't that I was looking for anything. This just was me. You see what I'm saying? So, but I had to build to that, right? I had to grow to that. I had to learn to that. And that's what we have to do. We have to invest in ourselves, and we have to make hard decisions and do hard things to change things about ourselves, so that when we do go through hard periods, when the economy turns, I'm not going to respond emotionally, right? I'm going to respond professionally. You see what I'm saying? I'm going to understand how things work, and then I'll respond accordingly. And my reputation will still be intact. It'll be, this is just how I do things, right? And whether I stay in the industry, because here's the thing, things can be totally bad, right? And I have to make hard decisions. I can make a decision then to go into something else. What I want to bring with me is that good reputation, right? Because no matter where I go, I'm going to need that to be successful. It doesn't matter what I do. It doesn't matter what the industry does. That's what I need. I'm building connections no matter where I go. And that's what I want to do. I want to build good connections, leave a good taste in people's mouths, right? But if I bring that bad stuff and that follows me and that becomes my reputation, well, guess what? I'm not going to get too far. Every place I go is going to be a problem. And I'm going to think it's everybody's fault, right? Mm-hmm. But it's going to be me. So it's developing that mindset and actually working on growing and developing and getting training, whether it's the training that I offer, right, or some other training, but we want to grow. Even when times are tough, that's when you want to invest in yourself. You want to grow. You want to develop. There's always something to do to grow, because when things are good, right, you don't want to be in a position where you're like, okay, everything, I am just kind of floating in the wind. When things are good, then okay, things are going to be good for me. You want to be intentional with what you do. When things are bad, or challenging, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Are you working to grow? Are you taking courses? Are you learning? You should always be learning when times are good or bad. It doesn't matter. But you need to always be learning. If you own a company, you have people under you. If you do, right, you're the head person. They're learning from you. They're learning from your actions. They're learning from what you say. They're learning from. So you play a vital part always, even when it's just you. You know what I mean? So, so yeah,
You have to act the part.
yeah, be the part. Be the part.
Yeah, you know
That's why I said,
responsibilities.
if you're sitting at the table and there's Elon Musk and there's all these other guys, right? Look around, see what they're doing. I don't know. They might be emotional. Elon Musk seems pretty emotional.
Yeah.
To
All right.
me.
So we got Justin says the show management would like to announce the 53rd annual Matt's Truck Show to take place on March 27th through the 29th of 2025. So put that on your calendar.
Oh, okay.
Book your rooms now. And
Yeah, do that.
we got to get you on the dais there to be a speaker.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah,
do it
man.
together. We'll do it together. We'll do it together.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, after the experience this year, I think that would be a good thing, even if we were on a panel or something like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I know where to reach out, for that. So,
Yeah, I know a couple of people that could participate in that.
that would be fun, and that would be good. Yeah. I'm all about it. Yeah. So did you overall, I think you said you enjoyed yourself there at Matt's?
I didn't do anything that I went there to do, except for a couple of the people that I talked to, met up quick, with some relationships. Other than that, I got to say I had more fun. I I had a good time, and I'll be honest with you, I needed that. I didn't
Good.
need to go there and do whatever. I needed to go there and have some fun, and I
Yeah.
did. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
it was good.
Yeah, I tell you what, the getaway was just good for me. Just getting away from the desk, and the only time I realized that that it's good that you get away, that it's beneficial, is when I do it. You know what I mean? It's I can sit here and be like, I don't need to. I need to work on this, and and I'll just stay here, right? I won't do anything else. But when you actually go and then you come back, man, it's your mind feels different. You
Mm.
just so it was definitely good just to go. And
All right,
I
we
would
doing it again
encourage,
next year? We're going, right?
yeah, man, yeah, and I would encourage everyone else to put it on their calendar.
Yeah, we
we're
want to
talking
see
about
more
a
of you
year.
guys there next year. Shannon Thomas
Absolutely.
was there. We hung out.
Yeah, I
Um,
met some good people.
Jersey Trucker was in here. Justin Axford. We all hung out. So, like to do more of that.
Yeah,
Um,
and it's free. It does, in terms of the attendance, there's no cost, right?
some people had to pay. I don't know. Shannon had to pay to get in. I think it's what you select when you check in. I don't,
Mm,
or the time. Like I signed up way in advance, months in
yeah,
advance, and they didn't charge me anything.
right.
Um, I know day of. I know somebody that had to pay $20, but I mean
Yeah,
at that point you can pretty much just walk in. Nobody's going to stop
yeah,
you.
yeah. Right,
Nobody's going to
right.
stop you.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
all right.
go.
Well, you and I have to have a conversation after this about something. So I know you got a meeting coming up, so we're gonna end it here. I
Yeah.
want to just thank everybody for being a part of all of this. Uh, I hope it's helping somebody somewhere somehow. And check out all the links in the descriptions below my video for some other great people in the industry, people and things trying to put together a lot of good resources for people. Uh, check out the DIYsemi.com. Get the details on the new fuel card here. Trying to build that. That's coming along,
Yeah.
and we're building a lot of things here.
Yeah.
So, Paul, thanks again. We're gonna do this again here shortly.
Can I throw this out there real quick?
Yeah.
Hey, with the new program, I am looking for. I'm throwing out a special for people who sign up early for this new program that I'm working to develop, and I can give them more details. They can reach out to me about it, but I'm looking for a lot of people because I'm looking for a lot of input, a lot of help in regards to developing this, so it can be an opportunity where you do put your voice in what I'm working to create, and I think it's going to be very beneficial for a lot of people. But if you're interested, please connect with me, whether you give me a phone call or send me an email, and I'd love to tell you what we're offering. So yeah, just feel free to reach out to me. It doesn't cost you anything, at least to talk to me. Okay.
Awesome. All right,
Yeah.
everybody take care, and we will see you next time.
All right.